Hello everybody, my name is Tal, I'm from Startup, and what Startup does is we help application developers make money from their applications and distribute their applications. In almost 3 years that our company has been around, we've worked with...
Thank you.
Thank you. So in almost 3 years that the company's been around, we've worked with developers from independent developers who just sit at home and create their own applications out of their garage, through huge gaming companies who have millions of dollars of budgets. And it's really interesting to see that all of these companies basically face the same 3 challenges: app discovery, app retention, user retention, more to say, and monetization. No matter how small or big the company, these are 3 key elements that lead to the better monetization. So let's discuss discovery a little bit. You put a lot of time and effort in creating your app. It's a brilliant app, it works perfectly. You release it out to the App Store. How are you going to get the users to find your application and download it? Basically, in this game, you're 1 in a million, literally. If you're looking at iOS, if you're looking at Android, there are over 1 million applications on each of these app stores, and every month, tens of thousands of apps are being released. Every idea that you have, someone's done it before. Maybe better, maybe not as good as you're doing it, but there's so many similar apps on the App Store. So here are a few tips on how you can get your app discovered. Flawless execution. It sounds trivial, but it's not always that, like the first thing that comes to mind. Do you know that only 16% of the users will ever come back to your application if their first experience is bad? If they experience an app crash, if there's a bug, if the app gets stuck and then goes back to life, only 16% of your users, the downloads that you have managed to generate, are ever going to come back to your application. Here are rating and reviews are a key in the app stores because both Android and Apple will encourage apps and bring them up in the ranking if their scoring is good. So it's a key part of getting discovered as well. And a little bit about App Store optimization. Let's play a little game. These are 2 real icons from the Android App Store. They're both flashlight applications. One has 100,000 downloads, the other one has 100 million downloads. Can you guess which one?
The right one.
It's pretty easy, and you put a lot of effort and thought and a lot of development time in making your application, the gameplay and the whole bug fixes, and you put a lot of time and effort into that, but there are other things outside of your application that can have a big effect on how often your app is going to be discovered, how often your app is going to be presented to users, and how many of those users are going to end up downloading your application. So here's one of them. Screenshots. They're getting more and more complex, and you have more options. Put some time and put some thought into which screenshots you're going to be presenting. Don't simply just take a screenshot while you're playing the game and put it in the App Store. Can you see these are clean? You can't see like the silent and the time and what network they're connected to. The screenshots are the first visual that your user is going to see of your application, and they count. Some of the App Stores let you upload videos. Why not do a video, a little part of the game, a little part of using the application? And next is the text that you write. The description should have a lot of keywords in it. The right keywords, don't abuse the keywords and use over too many keywords that aren't relevant to your application. talk about the features, the best features that your app has to offer, and don't blurb too much. Make sure that you keep it short and simple, and have a look after you finish writing what's above the fold, because I'm sure you've seen there's only so many lines that you can actually see when you're looking at an application before you have to read more, and I can tell you not a lot of users ever read the rest of your text. Oh, one thing that I skip, but it's really important, the translation. It's a little bit about getting the app in other languages, local languages. We have one developer that we work for. He's a French developer. He wrote his application in English. He had quite a few downloads, but most of them were coming from the US. And after he translated not even the app itself, but the description and all the things around it, and made it more easier for a French person to download, his downloads just went through the sky. And that's a simple action that you can do. It doesn't take a lot of time, it doesn't take a lot of money. A little bit of app localization, even if the app itself isn't localized. So those were all organic ways how to get your app downloaded more, but there's always also user acquisition. If you have funds, if you have the money, why not do some marketing? Why not buy some of your downloads? It's very legitimate. A lot of the companies are doing it. Advertise wherever you can. And there's so many different ad networks offering this option to you. And the bottom line is, how much is this going to cost you? So there are a lot of variants. It depends on where your users are coming from, what kind of users you want. This is a very, very general kind of overview of the numbers, just to kind of give you an idea of what you could be expecting. A cheaper version of this would be incentivized offers. Do you guys want to ask a question? The incentivized option is also out there for you. The upside of it is that it's really cheap. It only costs about 20 to 25% of the prices that I showed you before, but on the other hand, the quality of the users that you're going to get are not as high. A lot of the users, if they download an app because they were incentivized to do that, they're not going to come back and use their app again. So it's an option. And for a lot of people, if what they're looking for is the numbers and not what kind of users they're getting and not the number of active users, if all you're looking for is the number of downloads, this could be a good option for you, and pretty cheap as well. So you've released your app and users have found it and downloaded it. And now you have to get them coming back into your app, using your app more and more times and for longer sessions. Here's some quick statistics. You can't see the numbers, but 27% of the applications will only be used once. That's a pretty big number for the downloads, and people never come back to use the application again. On the other hand, 34% of the applications are used 10 times or 11 times or more. So I have a feeling of what side of this table you'd like to be on.
In total, per week, per month?
In total. It's a sad situation. 27% of apps that are downloaded will only ever be used once. Here are a few tips on how to get your users coming back to you. Communicate with your users. Let them know that there's a person or a company behind the app. You can do this in several ways. Reply to all your support emails. When everybody's trying to communicate with you, communicate back. Lately, Google has been allowing developers to respond to reviews. So if a user gives you a review or reports a bug, you can easily write back to them, and that shows them that there's someone on the other side, someone's listening to them, someone's willing to fix the bugs. Sit down and fix the bugs that you've been reported on, and update your app. Users want to see the app updated. They want to see that someone's still improving the app, getting more features out, getting more levels out, enriching the experience and fixing the experience. Another very popular, should I say, way, it's getting a lot of attention right now, is adding a social layer to your app. And it's not simply about adding a Facebook Connect. That's not enough. You have to get your users talking and sharing about the game, about the app, You got to get them to want to see what their friends are doing, being able to publish what they're doing on the app. Sometimes the users depend on their friends using the app if it's for a live or to help them find out how to go through a level. The holy grail of this would be to get them to talk about their app outside of the application. For example, a Facebook status or tweeting about what level they're stuck on or what cool new feature just came out. So you released your app, you got users to download them, and you've got them coming back using your app. A lot of session and long sessions, and now it's time to get down to business and monetize your traffic. So the first option, trivial, very old, would be to ask users to pay for your app. Now we're talking more and more towards the 80% and less towards the 70%, but 80% of all apps are free. And of those 20% that are still being charged for, only count for 5% of the total of downloads. So let's do the math again. Even though between 20 and 30% of the apps are still being charged for, all their downloads only count for 5% of the total downloads.
We're not talking about apps with purchase in it.
No.
Just paid download. Okay.
Exactly, the paid download. 92% of those paid apps that people pay for the download will only ever reach 500 downloads in their lifetime. This is a quick view of 21 top grossing apps on the Android App Store. Can you see what the two connections are between all of them? Two things that are right for all of them.
Games.
They're all games and they're all free. Okay, so these are the developers who are making the most amount of money on Android. 21 top developers. They're all games and they're all free. There are two exceptions. Minecraft is paid and Pandora isn't a game. But that shows you a bit about and these are top grossing, not top downloaded, not top leading in a certain category, top grossing on Android at the moment. So the next model, because we understand charging for apps is something of the past, the next thing would be ads revenue. Combining ads in different points of your application. There are so many different companies out there who you can talk to. They all have different models, different products, different offers, different rates. But the key for you, and the thing that only you can do, is know your application. You have to know the features of your application really good. You have to know the users of your application really well, and know what ad would fit in what placement, what the users are feeling in every different part of the gameplay. I use the term gameplay even though I'm not always talking about games, because I feel like using any kind of app has a certain flow to it, which is similar to a game flow, and you get different feelings and different emotions in different stages of using the application. Ads that are integrated well can even contribute to your application. But when you abuse advertising, when you use too many ads, or when you use it when the user isn't expecting an ad, or it's interfering with what they're doing at the moment, you can damage your application. So it's really down to kind of mix and matching and knowing your application really well, and knowing the offers very well, and knowing what it's going to look like to the end user. So like I said, different companies, a lot of different ad types. You need to mix and match. You need to try it. You need to see what's working. Try one company for a while, then try another company. A lot of developers divide the traffic between several ad companies. Here's one point, which is my favorite place to put in an advert, and that's exiting the application. So, for example, when I'm using a casual app, when I'm playing a game, I'm probably, riding a bus or waiting in the queue to see a doctor, and basically I have time. So I'm playing my game, and for some reason I want to stop playing my game. I've had enough, I'm stuck, I ran out of life, I ran out of ammunition, whatever it is. I'm exiting the application, but I still have more time. I'm still willing to play. Why not show me an ad for another free game when I'm already exiting your application? So this means you're not taking users away from your application like in any other point of the application when you're showing them an ad. They're already leaving your application. So this is a perfect point to offer them the next free game that they can play. And it all boils down to impressions, impressions, impressions. You have to have a lot of downloads from a lot of different countries. You have to have the users coming back and using your application and using them for long sessions. Now the model that you asked me about before, the freemium model, or what it's more called today a free-to-play, it could be either an app with some features that are free, and then if you want to use more features, you have to pay for the extra features. It could be a game where some of the stages are free, but then for other stages you need to pay money. Or if you need extra lives or extra ammunition or credit chips, then you pay the money. So free to play. It's very popular at the moment. Everybody is using it. Some are using it incredibly well. Anybody say Candy Crush? Free to play, free download, and users are spending huge amounts of money every month. But there is a very big challenge here. You have to put a lot of time and effort into finding the key features that your users are going to be willing to pay for, because if your app is good enough as it is without the paid features, why would people pay for the extra features? On the other hand, if your app isn't good enough, it's not getting people to come back, not getting them to want to discover the extra features, you've lost them as well. You have to find the exact right balance, and it's not right for every application. Here's an example, an alarm clock. It's free to download, it's free to set the alarm, it wakes you up for free, but if you want an extra 10 minutes of sleep, you got to pay 99 cents. Would you pay $1 for another 10 minutes of sleep?
Yes.
Every morning, 3 times. That's how many times I snooze every morning. So yeah, not every application. It has to be a well thought of feature. So basically, out of the 3 challenges that we discussed, monetization is probably the maybe the easiest challenge to conquer, because there's a lot of knowledge out there. There are a lot of companies who can help you do it in the right way. And basically those are the 3 challenges that come in a cycle. So I'm Tal. I'll be very happy to hear from you if you would like to send me an email, communicate with me, ask me questions. If there are any questions now, I'll be very happy to hear. Anybody? Yeah.
So I have a question. Imagine that, well actually this is a real case. I'm releasing a game right now, and I have $5,000 budget for marketing. What would be the right split of this money between the different types of marketing activities?
Isn't that the $1 million question or the $5,000 question? You might not have to spend the money on marketing. It's not right for everybody, and if you don't have enough budget to begin with, you might just be throwing your money away. So what I would say is talk to different companies, see what they can do with the $5,000. And you have to try to understand, like you said before, is what you're looking for numbers of downloads, and then you would go for example, incentivized offers. And the downloads will cost you a lot less, but you'll get less of a quality of users. On the other hand, if what you're looking for is quality users who come back and use your application, maybe spend some money on your application, have long sessions on your application, that might not be the right way to go. So.
Okay.
It's a good question. If you find out the answer, let me know. Anybody else? One more, please. Yeah.
In the discovery section, you told us about how the impression, how much is money, yeah? And how does it fit with the often used scheme that you should release as early as possible, get the feedback from users, and then start from the very basic version, maybe with some bugs, maybe without some features, and then build the quality from there, you know?
So, yeah.
Maybe you could repeat the question to everyone.
Oh, sorry. Do you want
So the question is, how does the focus on the first impression match with the often used scheme of releasing as early as possible, getting feedback from the user, and then build the quality on what's being gained from reviews and so on?
That's also a very good question, and there are different theories to what you mentioned. That's just one theory, and other people would say wait until you have a good enough product. But in any case, there's a minimal product, minimal quality that you have to have before you release it out completely. You could try first using beta testers. Find 1,000 users, let them use the application, build on their feedback. That could be good, because getting bad reviews and getting bad ratings could really inhibit your progress in the future. So you have to find the right model. If it's either beta testing with a very first and primal, and then keep updating and keep improving, or wait until you have a good enough product, you've tested it enough with your friends and family, and you know that you can release it and you can then improve. Maybe the right thing would do is less features and have very good quality on those features, and then your improvements could be enriching the application rather than low quality and a lot of features. That's probably what I think is best. Anybody else? Yeah.
Do you think there is any sense to release application without any marketing, or on Play Store or App Store, or maybe I should go to young platform like Firefox OS?
What would be the advantage of first releasing on Firefox's name? He's asking if it's worthwhile trying to release on the bigger app stores without any marketing budget, right?
Yeah.
Or rather trying the small app stores. But there isn't any connection. I mean, being ranked first in a different app store won't help you when you come to release your app on Google Play. And for most of the applications, they don't have any marketing budget. The holy grail is virality. Yeah? You want to reach the point where people hear about your app from other users, or they search for something that you're offering and your app comes up ranked very high in the results. Most of the apps, they reach where they reach a certain point without any marketing budget, and then if their app is good enough, if the retention is high and they manage to monetize their application, that's where the marketing budgets are going to come from, and they can stream that money back into getting more users, and then that helps increase.
What's your experience with different advertising networks? You said we should experiment, but at startup, like how can you compare like AdMob versus Leadboard versus the others?
I can't. Even though I'm from startup and I know my products and I know my rates and I know what I can offer you, that's what I know best. The rest of what I know is just from reading material that's out there, just like you. But even though it might not be good for my immediate business to tell you, don't only come to me, check what other people have, divide your traffic. Because I believe in my product, I know that after dividing your traffic, you'll see what the startup traffic can give you, and you'll be coming back to us. If it's the right thing for your product. For some people, it's not the right thing for their application, and then there's no point in enforcing the partnership. So I can't compare them for you, but I can suggest that you do your homework, so-called, and you do the market research and find what's the best for your application. Thank you very much for listening.